I thought that. Well, first off, it was as big a stroll as they've had in the Champions League, I think, for some time.
That's what I thought. I mean, I nearly said to you, I did say to you this morning, I don't think they had a shot at goal. I can't remember them stringing 5, 6, 7 passes together.
No. First half, mate, nothing at all. Absolutely, they looked afraid to really come and take City on even on their own patch in front of a full house, an absolute packed stadium it was. But second half, they had to improve. And City have often found this, haven't they? Until they get that second goal, until you get that one, you can never be quite sure. And in the end, with the chances and the situations that Leipzig had, you'd probably say it's about right. Even though, as I was watching the first half, I thought to myself, City were going to romp it.
Me too. The only thing I would say is, I said yesterday morning when we were on with Laura, and I don't know whether you agree or not, I fancy City over the 2 games. Definitely fancy over the 2 games. They've got players to come back. However, the one thing that they will have away from home is pace on the counter.
They will. And I mean, last night, Nkunku came on in the game, second half. He didn't start. So they brought him and Poulsen on, who's very, very experienced. I didn't think, again, first half, they didn't really show any real interest. They kind of had 4 centre-halves playing at the back last night, Leipzig, and City had all the ball. Bernardo, tons of it with Rodri. And it was like a keep ball session for them most of the first half. But in the end, as I say, they've got to go again. 1-1's far from a disaster. Far from a disaster. And I'm absolutely sure that City will have more than enough to get going. One thing, Ali, and I'm sure you watch the centre forward. I keep watching Erling Haaland, right?
I know.
And
I know, mate.
He's sort of spectating most of the game.
Well, we'll talk about that. We're going to have a good chat about that because it's funny, I'm watching it. He's spectating the vast majority of the game. I know he doesn't like to come and link up. I think there's a bit of both, We'll have a good chat about it. I think there's a bit of both. I think he has to show more, but I think City have to play to his strength more. Anyway, we'll have a chat later on about it. But Riyad Mahrez obviously opened the scoring for City. Great finish. Gave the goalkeeper the eyes, whipped it back across, and it was cancelled out by Guardiola second half. Now, Guardiola didn't make any substitutions during the game. John Stones, Kevin De Bruyne, Aymeric Laporte all missed the game through injury. Guardiola defended his side, and these were his comments after the game.
Normally there is one misconcept in football that after we play the first half, the people is going to say, how bad is the second half? Why you cannot think that Leipzig is a good team? Like, they don't lose a game from many, many, many times. He beat Real Madrid here comfortably in a good game. And I know the game against Bayern Munich, that the first half Bayern was better, but the second half Leipzig was much, much better. So I have a lot of respect about Leipzig. And when they do good things, and you can have problems because they are good. Always we talk how bad is one team. Why we don't talk how good they are the other ones? No? Why don't talk our first half because we did it really well, not because Leipzig did it wrong.
Yeah, I get that.
So do I. I see where he's coming from there, mate.
I do. It's not all just about the fact that City couldn't be so emphatic in the second half, and I think he's right. Leipzig did certainly show a completely different mindset, a different attitude.
Do you think we do that, Andy?
Half.
Do you think we do that as obviously we're looking at our own team from our own country, but do you think we do sometimes completely overshadow the opposition and just say, right, it's all about Manchester City here, when they're clearly playing a good team?
I think now City have become, and the way that they play is so. You just know every time you go and watch City, and that's the reason why I love the Arsenal game recently, Ali, because Arsenal were prepared
have a go
first half to go toe to toe with them, and it was great, and I really enjoyed watching that. But most teams, when they play City, accept the fact they're not going to have the ball. They sit back and they shuffle from side to side, and they make it hard. They make themselves hard to break down, and hope that they can stay in the game at some point when they can start to have a bit of a go. That tends to be the mindset of most teams when they come up against Pep's team, but that's not, his fault. The only disappointing part, again, I think for Guardiola, was they didn't really pepper the Leipzig goal with shots and real genuine goal scoring situations.
There were a couple of half headers in the first half. Diaz the header and I think Rodri the header at the back post. But you're right. And the big fella had a chance second half when I think the only time in the game he gets a 1v1 situation and he screws a shot wide with his right foot. But interesting, I've been thinking about the big fella up front, Haaland. Clearly, I mean, there's part of me thinks this is madness that we're even having this conversation with somebody that's got nearly 30 goals, right? Yeah. But I think you're the same opinion as me. There's definitely more to come. There's definitely more to come. I don't think he links up as well as he should.
No.
Right, and I get it. He's not really interested in playing. Manchester City will pass you to death. He's not really interested in that. He just wants to position himself for a finish. I think there's an element in that. He should show more. But I also think there are times where they should just put the ball into the box.
Totally agree. Or even Ali, release him and get him on the turn running in behind. So when fullbacks have pushed on, when the opponents have got the ball and they're pressure and they're having a go at City, that's the one dimension I thought that Erling Haaland would be fascinating to watch would be when City then turn that ball over and will
immediately. Will
Mara do like he did with Vardy? Will he spin one in behind and let him charge onto it?
I watched it once in the first half. Now, again, I find it a little bit bizarre in many ways that we've been really, really critical here, but we're not. We've got to be objective. One of the best players in that team's Bernardo Silva for me, which is amazing.
Of course he is.
And it broke down quickly, and all of a sudden, I think Silva fired it into Rodri, and the ball all day was an early one to Haaland because he was 1 against 1.
Yep.
And they come back out, and they're lovely. They kept possession of the ball, and that's fine. And maybe that's the way he wants to play, but it's not the way Haaland wants to play.
I look, and again, funny enough, I was listening to Dance on a show a few days ago, and Dan said it must be one of the most frightening things in football when you're a centre half running back towards your own goal,
100%.
and you can hear this thud behind you. He's charging after you because of the way he runs and that kind of style that he's got. It's true, and I just wish that they would keep him involved a little bit more, Ali. Now and again, keep him on the edge a little bit more, and I think it'd stretch the game a bit more. And I think City would even have even more room to strut their stuff and play their football and keep possession with. But again, last night it's just a little frustrating, and it must be really difficult for him to know when do I go and when do I start and when am I coming in short, when do I turn and go and maybe offer what I can do well.
Well, you know the one that will do that best of all will be De Bruyne.
Of course he does.
There's no doubt about that.
He does.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.